Hey guys, Greg Christensen here, Grandview Livestock, of course, and thought you might be interested in seeing how these sheep and goats fed out, their cost and their cost of gain there, and well, if it was profitable to feed them or not. So I got pulled up here is how much hay and corn and protein that we fed out in those advantage feeders while we were feeding those whether lambs and whether kids that went to the sale here in January, and then some we just took the other day there. And then there's still a lot of ewe lambs, and well, it says 185 dullings. There's actually more than that now. We added some in there. There's like almost 250 dullings out there now. But so here's the lambs. We sold 187, and here's kids we sold, and then here's the light kids that we kept. We just sold those the other day. Alright, now here's the corn that we fed in those feeders up until January 14th. That's when we sold the first bunch of kids, and we had 535 bushels of corn that were put in there approximately. That's $2,568, about whatever corn was costing at the time there. I figured in. So just for the corn was $3.34 a head. The hay we fed about 55 bales. That I put a value of $50 a bale on that. Come out to $27.50. That's about $3.58 a head there. We fed those protein pellets in there for a while, and the animals were bad about picking them out and stuff. We finally kind of quit feeding, just went to whole corn, but I did charge it for $600 worth of those pellets. They came out to 78 cents a head. So the total feed cost from I think it was about October 25th to January 14th was $5,918, or $7.71 for every head that was out there. So, and some are still out there. The replacement lambs and replacement dullings are still out there. Okay, so then we had the wether lambs that we sold in January 14th. Now we weighed them there October 25th. And my scales, it may not be perfectly accurate and everything, but we had about a 56-pound average. And then we had, they weighed 76 pounds at the sale barn when we sold them that day. So they gained about 20 pounds, and that's 0.25 pounds a day that they actually gained during that time, 80 days. The goats, same way. They averaged around 38 pounds. Again, my scales isn't probably just perfect. And we had them at the sale weighing 56 pounds, 57 pounds, what we got paid for. So they gained just slightly less, 0.24 pounds per day. And we actually had more sheep and goats than this. We had some that never did go on the feeders. They were heavy enough. We didn't want to get them over fat, so they just went to the sale straight out of the. We just kept them on grass basically. We never did feeding grain to them. So I don't have the cost or anything of those on here, but as you can imagine, it'd be pretty cheap. So here's the on the October 25th, those 56-pound lambs would probably have been worth about $217. I had a friend that sold some lambs about the same weight, and he got paid $2.10 a pound for him, and he was really happy with that back in October. And when we sold them there January 14th, they weighed 76 pounds. So we gained 20 pounds, the market went up. So we got paid about $250 a head. That was 76 pounds what they weighed at the sale. And we got paid $3.30 a pound. Okay. The feed cost for that time was $7.71 a head. See, we got that right up here. So if you take what they was worth back in October and what we got for them in January, and then subtract the feed cost that it took us, we got that. Now, honestly, I didn't figure up, and I probably should. We lost, I don't know, a couple, 2 or 3 lambs probably during that time, but it wouldn't amount to a whole lot. You know, you might scratch $5 off that or so, but then we have the weather goats that we sold in. We started feeding them in October. They weighed about 38 pounds, something like that, and you know, they weighed 57 at the sale in January. So they would have been worth, I figured, around $145, $50 at that market for a 38-pound kid if we just took them to the sale. But we fed them, and so here's our feed cost again, and so, and you know, honestly, they probably didn't eat as much as these lambs. These lambs were bigger. They probably ate more. But anyway, there was a profit of $92 for holding those 80 days and feeding them. And again, we had a slight death loss on that. Not very many. Okay, so anyways, you might say, well, you know, they only weighed 38 pounds when you started. Well, you know what? That's okay with me, because if they're too big in January, you know, we don't get paid as much. And so if they're ready to go to sale and it's October or November or even December, the price is going to be cheaper and they're not going to bring as much money. And our kids just weren't as heavy this year. I don't know why, but that doesn't really bother me. And so we had the lightweights then that we kept back. We didn't sell them in January. We were going to sell in February. The weather was really bad. We sold them there just the other night. You saw the video. And so we put another $2 worth of hay in those a piece, another maybe $5 worth of grain. That's being pretty generous there. It might probably closer to $6 or 6 something. But as you can tell now, when we sold those in January, I had a few 40-pound kids in there that just didn't look like they were going to grow very good, and I just took them up and sold them, and we got $3.55 a pound. They weighed around 43 pounds. So here I just put that, it's about $150 for what they would have been worth in January. Okay, but we put 13 pounds on them, and they didn't gain as good as what the others did, but they had a pretty miserable February to go through, if you remember. And so the other night they weighed 55 pounds and about $4.45. Okay, and so we subtract those two, and you subtract their feed cost off, subtract their initial value off of what they brought, subtract their feed costs, and so we gained $88 a head by keeping those an extra 60 days, feeding them up and taking them back to the market. Okay, so yeah, your market, you really want to get them the right weight at the right time, Because now if you're feeding kids now and they're not going to be heavy enough till, let's just say, May. I mean, once you get past Easter, the market is going to start tapering off. It just almost always does. So if you're buying feeder kids now to feed out and have ready to go, you better sell them before Easter for whatever you can get. Because the feeder kids the other night were going a lot cheaper than what they were back in January, because you're going to have to rush them. The little ones won't be ready by Easter. And so you'll have May. I mean, they'll still be a decent price, but it's going to start tapering off, just the pattern that it normally takes. So you really want to make sure you're getting your kids, 50 to, you might push 70 pounds. January, February, March, somewhere in there, to get the most out of your kids for the feed you're putting out. I can't stress enough, you really need to keep track of the feed that you're feeding, your cost, your hay, how much you're feeding them. You really can't keep track of enough. Every time I think I'm keeping track of everything I need to, and I think of something, I wish I'd have kept track of that or wrote it down. You just can't have enough information, and then what you do with that information too is critical. I mean, you can have all kinds of information and not do anything with it, of course, and that's no good. So I thought you might be interested in the economics of what it was when we were feeding those kids and putting that corn in those feeders and taking the hay out there that you watched, and kind of how that panned out. We all have a good day.